Welcome to Writer's Digest Presents. Hosted by the editors of Writer's Digest, this monthly podcast features conversations with writing and publishing experts whose insights will help ignite your creative vision, hone your skills, build your platform, and get your work out into the world.
Hello everyone, I am Michael Woodson, and welcome to Writer's Digest Presents. I know that there are people out there with a specific skill or expertise, and sharing that expertise with others is something they aspire to do. Well, publishing has long been the answer to that, with the publications of how-to books and hobby books. Basically, whatever your hobby is, there is a book out there to help you perfect it. I've always been curious about the challenges of writing about what you do for a living, making it approachable and connecting with readers. Well, today I'm chatting with Alexandra Gater. Alexandra is an interior designer from Toronto. Her YouTube channel boasts nearly 1 million subscribers who follow along as she completely transforms rooms, homes, apartments, stores. You name it, she's done it. Her book, Own Your Space, came out in 2023, and it represents her mission of helping people beautify their spaces on a budget. I've long been a fan of Alexandra Gater, and I loved chatting with her about the process of writing this book, the first inclinations to publish a book, her lifelong dream of being a writer, the importance of following an outline in nonfiction publishing, what drew her to her literary agent, and so much more. So without further ado, Writer's Digest presents Alexandra Gater. Alexandra, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited to be chatting with you. To get us started, why don't you tell our listeners just a little bit about yourself?
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me, Michael. I'm Alexandra, and I'm a home decor YouTuber. I make over primarily small spaces. My goal with my YouTube channel is really to show my viewers that it's possible to live in a beautiful space, no matter your budget or your design expertise.
Yeah, like I was saying before we started recording, I am a big fan of you and your work. I discovered you I can't remember now if it was at the start of COVID or right before COVID. My algorithm was like working in my favor for once, and your episodes were just like a necessary respite. COVID like really did a number on my mental health. Same with most people. And in the book, you touch on your journey with starting a YouTube channel, which I find like not just inspiring, but really interesting that you also got your start in publishing, if you don't mind telling our listeners about that.
Yeah, so I went to school for journalism. I really loved photography. So I did a minor in studio arts, and I actually thought I wanted to be a photojournalist. I had big dreams to go to New York City and work for a fashion magazine, and like do like street photography. But long story short, I actually got an internship here in Toronto at a women's lifestyle magazine, like our most iconic women's lifestyle magazine in Canada. And I really fell in love with it. I was kind of there at the right time, like right place, right time. I worked my way up to the home editor position. I fell in love with home decor. I've always been, like, looking back, I've always been into home decor. I was like that weird kid that like organized my bedroom for fun. And I had these like huge visions of how I was going to design it. And I'd walk through IKEA with my parents and like look at all the showrooms, and I was mesmerized.
Of course.
But never considered doing design or like interior design as a career. Never thought to go to school for it. Like I really loved writing and photography. So when I was at Chatelaine magazine, I fell into the home section by chance, worked my way up to the home editor position, and just fell in love with home decor. And during my time there, video content was like kind of booming. And it was kind of at the beginning, at least here in Canada, of magazines like delving into video content. Like Refinery 29 was like a huge inspiration for us, you know? And I pitched this video series where I would make over spaces. I had like no experience doing this. And my pitch was kind of like, I'm going to take people along and show them as I'm learning.
Totally.
Really had no idea what I was doing. So kind of was just learning as I went. And we did like 20 episodes, I think. And the second last episode, or the second last episode went viral. It has over, I haven't checked it in years, but at the time it had like over 1 million views, which was a big deal. And suddenly people started like DMing me and emailing me and being like, can you do this? Can you do this space? Following me on Instagram. And everyone was then going back and watching the previous episodes that I had filmed. A couple of weeks later, I actually got let go along with 90 other people at the magazine, because the magazine was being sold to a different company or a different publisher, I should say. And I was like, okay, the momentum's here. These videos are taking off. I may as well just start this on my own. And I mean, that makes it sound really simple, but a lot of hard work and time and sacrifices have led me to a pretty robust media business today.
Oh yeah. And I just love hearing this. I think it's like, it reminds me of my husband, Josh, who he went to school for e-media, and his dream job, like if you could have any job, it was to be like a film editor or the person who like cuts trailers for movies. And in school, the main thing professors always said was, you're going to once you're done, you're going to move to California, and you're either going to make it or you're not. And that's just like part of the business. And like, there was no concept of like, can I do anything else with what I've learned? Like, do I have to either succeed or fail at this one thing? And because Josh learned really quickly, is like, I don't think I want to move to LA. We really love living here. And what he ended up doing was finding a day job that certainly has elements of what he learned, but then he also started he's I would say like a micro baking influencer in Cincinnati, and he just loves to bake, and he utilized his education in film and photography and editing and just implemented that on this other thing he loves, which is baking. And I just think that it just makes me wonder about anyone else who like the thing they were supposed to do didn't work out, or their dream like ended, and it feels like they're at a dead end. But you say it sounds really simple, but like the idea is simple. Like, okay, I'll just do it myself is a big, simple thing in the grand scheme of things, you know?
Yeah. And I think I was very driven. I am very driven, but especially in my early 20s, I was like, I want to do something big. Like, I want to move to New York and work at a fashion magazine. And I think I like really took the opportunity at the magazine at the time to learn as much as I could. And it was like a crash course in life.
I was going to say, you were kind of thrown into it.
Totally. And I learned so much. I got to work with women that had been in the industry for a long time, and men, but like just like really smart people around me. And at that time, I was like, okay, I'm not going to focus on like the amount of money I'm getting paid or, you know, saving any money. Like, it was very much about, let me learn as much as I can. And I'm so glad that I had that attitude, because I so much of what I do today is from my journalism degree and my internship and my job at Chatelaine. And I love what you said. Like, you don't, I think when you're young and you're going into university or college, it's like you have to do that thing forever. I definitely felt that way, but there's so like the world is like full of opportunities if you want to take them or search for them and or find them, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Or make it for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. And I never wanted to start my own business. Like, a lot of the women I worked with at Chatelaine were kind of going off and freelancing, and I was like,
freelances? Like, no joke.
Yeah, I was like, goodbye, like, have fun out there. And I, you know, in my head was like, I love it here. Like, I love that I have a cubicle. I love that I have a desk. I love that I have a steady paycheck every 2 weeks. But now I couldn't imagine not doing this on my own. And getting fired was, or getting let go was like the best. I was thinking about this the other day. The best thing that ever happened. Yeah.
It's so lovely to hear that. And I love the part in the book when I think it's in the introduction, when you're like, it never occurred to me to go into business because I don't have a business degree. Spoiler alert, like a lot of people do that. Like, a lot of people go into business who don't have a business degree.
I also don't like have any, I've never taken one course in interior design.
Like, sure.
Like, I've never done an interior design course. And that's kind of the whole point. That's really why my channel started. I was like, I'm not an interior designer, but I can live in a space that feels beautiful.
Oh, totally.
but yeah, like I don't have any qualifications like I should not be a designer, but like I made it happen, and
Absolutely.
I learned a lot along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, for sure. And I'm just really excited to be talking about your book, Own Your Space. And listener, we're coming up on the holiday season as this comes out. It is a perfect gift book. I will say my friend just bought her first house and she is starting like from scratch, and she sold all of her furniture and is closing in like a couple of days, and she was so overwhelmed. And I was like, oh, baby, I've got the book for you. So I lent it to her. It's such a good, like, it is such a good book for people at any stage of their like designing. And it came out in 2023, correct?
Yes, I have to think about that for a second. 2023.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And you documented the experience a little bit on your YouTube channel. But what did the early conversations look like about like the possibility of writing a book? What were like the first whispers of possibly publishing a book?
Yeah, so I actually wrote a novel in high school. I really wanted to be a creative writer. Yeah, I wrote a novel in verse. I don't know if you've ever heard like
love
okay.
novels in verse. Are you kidding?
Okay.
Love them.
I don't know why I
No, it's okay. Do you know Elizabeth A. Civito?
No.
Oh,
Should
she's delightful. Novels in verse.
Okay.
Jacqueline Woodson. Sorry.
Can you send me these?
1,000%.
Okay.
Jacqueline Woodson will change your life. Continue.
Okay, I'm so excited. So yeah, I wanted to be a creative writer. And my parents were like, yeah, maybe like you should do something else. And I really, I wanted to write novels. And they were like, maybe you should go into journalism because you can still write and blah, blah, blah. So I've always wanted to write a book. It's always been my dream. Never wanted to write a coffee table book or like a how-to book. And I guess to answer your question more directly, I was approached by a publisher in Canada at first, and we had talked about maybe doing a book together. And then I think I had spoken to an agent in New York. I was connected to her through someone, and she basically said like, you don't have enough followers, like good luck.
That's
like,
a thing.
It's a thing. Yeah.
It's annoying.
Yeah. And she was just very like, good luck out there, try again in a few years. And I think I remember feeling kind of sad about that.
Sure.
And then I don't really know the timeline of all of this. I think it happened like pretty close together, but basically a literary agent reached out to me, and I just remember getting her email, and it was so lovely. It was so personal, and she really knew my brand and who I was. And she asked me like, have you ever thought about writing a book? And I jumped on a call with her, and we just really connected. Wow. And her name's Paige. I'm so glad to have had her in my corner for the whole journey. But yeah, we put together a proposal, and she taught me like how to put that together. I'd never written a proposal before.
Yeah.
And then she went out to different publishers, and the deal happened very quickly.
Wow, really?
There was like a day of bidding where like publishers were bidding, and it was like very exciting. And yeah, then that was it. And then I signed with HarperCollins Design.
Yeah. Were you generally like, were you excited or were you nervous?
Oh my God. I was like, at that time in my career, it was like the most insane thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Like having a book as, you know, it's still a goal of mine to have a published novel. But yeah, it was like, I was like, this is going to change my whole life. That's how it felt. And I was also kind of worried about, okay, if I write a coffee table book about decor, does that still mean I can be like a novel writer in the future? Sure. And Paige had said to me, she's like, yeah, of course, like you're not pigeonholed into this. Yeah. But I did feel this kind of like, totally. Should I like be a novel writer later and not write this book? But yeah, it was life-changing, I guess, to answer your question.
That's an interesting point. The sort of future casting worry, like if I do this now, can I not do like my dream of writing a book? Because I think even fiction writers worry about writing outside of their the genres that they're known for. But it's interesting that you say that, because immediately I thought of Connie Schultz, who's a I think she won the Pulitzer for journalism, and she is known for her journalistic writing. But she wrote a novel in, I think, 2020, and it is so, 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 so good. And she sort of was saying the opposite of like, I don't think, because I was able to interview her years ago, but writing a book was not really on her mind because she was so entrenched in journalistic writing. But yeah, if you're a writer, you get to write whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. But I would also imagine it's hard to distill your experience and what you know into like 20 some, 200 some pages. And I'm just wondering, like, how did you tackle that with writing on your space?
Yeah. I think the hardest thing for me, well, I think the hardest thing for me was like it was all in my head.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, how do I get this down on paper?
Mm-hmm.
And Paige, my agent, like really helped me with that initial proposal. And to be honest, putting in all of that work for the proposal made writing the book so much easier.
Wow.
I followed that proposal
Wow.
like section by section because we broke it down into what the book was
Sure.
going to obviously be about, but then we broke it up into sections and what each section would talk about. And so I kind of did like a lot of the heavy lifting prior. And it's kind of actually how I approached essays in university. Like I would think a lot about my essay and then I would kind of write it in like a condensed amount of time.
Yeah.
And with Own Your Space, I did dedicate certain days, like Fridays, I think, to writing it, but I had a hard time sitting for that long and also like conceptualizing what the book was going to look like visually. I'm a very visual person.
Well, yeah, and the book has to be visual.
Exactly. And so when I was at the magazine, like it was almost easier for me to see all the photos laid out on a page and then do the text afterwards. This obviously I couldn't do. So I actually hired a producer to help me understand what photos we needed. And she organized it all because the photos obviously were like a huge part of the book. So it was hard for me to just sit there and write it at some points. But I actually went away with my partner, Noah. We went away for 10 days and I sat at my computer and did not stop writing for like 10 days.
I was going to say I didn't write at all. I was like, yeah, I've been there.
No. I finished the book
in like a
primarily
week?
in that 10 days.
That's insane.
But it was because I had done so much of the upfront work. Like it wasn't just 10 days. It was a lot more than that. But I sat there and I just like banged it out based on what I'd already kind of put
previously.
Together.
Yeah, the nonfiction book proposal I'm really glad you're saying this because that's very unique to nonfiction writing. Like fiction writers don't like sell on proposal. They write the book. Hopefully someone buys it. And neither of those is easy. Like, you're promising something with a proposal. I hope to God I can do this. But it sounds like it's a necessary step. And I like hearing that like so much of the work went into like that proposal and that proposal ended up being really helpful. Yeah.
Without it, I think it would have been very challenging for me to write it. Like, And I also didn't feel locked into the proposal. Like, yes, the publisher was buying my book based on what I had written in that proposal, but I really used it as like a guide. And it just, doing all of that upfront work was so beneficial to me.
Yeah. Well, I also think I think a lot about how when someone asks me what I do, I'm just like, oh, I'm a magazine editor. And they're like, oh, cool. And I'm just like I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. Like, and so I can't imagine. I literally can't imagine writing about what I do. I just know how to do what I do, and I'm just wondering, like, because writing is another skill entirely. It's like teaching math. Like, no, because I don't get it either. But like math teachers, like they understand math. They don't always know how to tell me it. But like, what was the biggest? You've touched on this a little bit, but what was the biggest challenge in like the literal writing process of Own Your Space?
I think just being like overwhelmed with all the information that I had in my head and like how do I get that on the paper, and how do I sit for a long period of time and focus? And to be honest, like, writing the book wasn't that creative, right? And I'm used to writing in a very creative way, but it was really like getting it down on paper in a way that people would understand clearly. And the creative part for me was like the visual aspect of it, taking all the photos, figuring out like what photos I was going to include, and what steps needed to be visual. And so I guess I would say that was kind of the hardest part, like not having a lot of room to be creative. It was very much like, this is how you do it. Which obviously is the point of the book. But I think I struggled with that aspect of it, and like getting all that information out of my head. Like you said, it's like, I just know it, but then sitting down and actually being like, how do I explain this to someone is kind of like an entirely different skill.
Oh, it is. It's I can't do it. Like Josh
you
is so
could. You could if you could. If you also broke it down beforehand and was like, okay,
you're right.
This is what I'm writing about. And
well, Josh is just so good at like, I do this. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of like this and that. And I just like, I'm just like a conversation ender with profession, and I don't mean to do it. I'm sorry, everyone. But I also think like you say it's like not particularly creative, but I think the experience of reading it is very creative. And I think, it's part inspirational, it's part how to, but it's also like, it really asks the reader to engage with it. And, with the images, but also like there are design quizzes, there are sort of like open-ended questions. Because there was something creative about, this is so stupid, but we had a problem with our toilet a couple weeks ago, and I'm very much of the mind of like, this call our friend Mark, he knows how to fix it. But I was like, no, I'm going on YouTube, I'm searching this sound that it's making, and I'm going to fix it myself. Yes. And it was, being able to fix it was like such a euphoric, it felt like finishing a story I've been struggling on, And so like how-to stuff is inspiring in that it is creative, because like the final product hopefully is this creative thing you made. And I'm wondering too, like, watching your YouTube videos for so long, did you learn anything from like putting together a YouTube video? Did you take that and mirror it at all to like the writing process?
100%. The format of the book is actually inspired by my makeover process. So
okay, that was one of my questions.
So like the planning, then like the how to actually doing, and then the like after, like the living in the space. And that was really helpful, because I had and still have that format really down for makeovers. And I think it was Paige, my agent, who suggested like, why don't you format the book that way, as if you're walking the reader through how you do a makeover, and like what are the steps that you do to make a space come to life. So so that's kind of how I definitely married the two in that way.
Can you talk a little bit more about the literary agent experience? Like, what were some green flags for you?
That's such a great question. And like, my biggest green flag is like, honestly, just like the vibes were it. Paige, I think her initial email to me was, it was so clear that she was a viewer of my content, that she understood my brand. She wasn't like, you should write a book. She was like, have you ever considered writing a book? And then when I got on a call with her, she was just so warm. She was so lovely. She really was like, I could tell she really knew her stuff. And I think green flags are just like feeling like that person has your back and understands the industry much more than you do. Because I had no idea. And at that time, I didn't have a COO working for me. I didn't really have like a huge team around me. My team has changed a lot since that. And I think with anyone else, it could have been, I could have definitely been taken advantage of. But Paige was like, she was just so great. And she also, I would say, green flag is she was holding my hand throughout the proposal process. And I don't know if maybe agents do that, but without her, I wouldn't have been able to like, I wouldn't have known necessarily how to start. So I think an agent that is kind of involved with your creative process at the beginning.
Yeah.
She wasn't involved in the writing of it or the producing it, but like that upfront work, that was like super helpful and beneficial to me.
It also sounds kind of reminiscent of your experience with the magazine, where this heartbreaking thing happened, kind of opened the door for something else, where someone told you in the publishing industry, like, good luck, you don't have enough followers. And then this other person reaches out and is like, hey, I think you could write a book. It's like, one door closes, another one opens, for sure.
Totally. Yeah. And I think it can be really easy to feel super disheartened in those moments, in any industry, like having someone tell you no.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I've always been like, no, I can do it. Like, it doesn't matter if I have, like, I can do it. And I think that belief in myself has got me pretty far. Yeah. Some would say it might be delusional, but it's so truly, I'm like, I can do this. Yeah. And I really want to do it. Yeah. And I think writing a book, if you don't have any interest in that, would not recommend, because you got to be in it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And don't ask AI to do it for you either. I've mentioned, I really love the introduction to your book, not just because like you're pretty open and vulnerable about what happened with your career. But I like that you make reference to the fact that an aspect of designing a space or a room requires comfort in like the messy middle and making mistakes. And that is just so exactly the same as the writing process. We want our drafts to be like, we don't want to write drafts. Or I should speak for myself. Like, I just want my first draft to be the finished book that is perfect and no one has any critiques over. I take critique very well. I'm just saying, I just want to make everyone happy and to be good right away. Yeah. That's just not possible. And I was wondering, you've talked about this a little bit, but like, you said you sat down and wrote that book in like 10 days. Like the bulk of the book was written in 10 days. Like, what was that like? And how much editing were you doing within that process?
The editing came afterwards for me. So I submitted my rough draft, and that was, the deadlines can seem really scary, right? Because it's like you have to deliver this many images, this many words. And I handed it in knowing that I was going to take full advantage of the editing process. Totally. And kind of like really like it was kind of that, like, I needed to sit there for 10 days and get everything out. And then I knew I could go back and really refine it.
Oh yeah.
So, at that point, once I had submitted the text, the designer had been working on the layout already. And then I'm pretty sure she plugged in the text and then sent me like a visual of what the book was looking like. And that was super helpful for me because, again, I'm super visual. Yeah. And instead of just looking at a Word document, I could see all the photos. And from there, I like really edited. I took things out. I added things in. And yeah, it felt like there was so much pressure handing in that initial draft. And like you said, like, there was so much pressure I felt like I put on myself to make it perfect. But then at the end of it, I was like, no, I just have to send what I have, because I know that once I see it, I'll have more of an idea of what I need to add or take away.
And that's a good reminder that writing a book can feel isolating. And the reality is there's a team of people who are like really going to help you make this as good as possible. Because you're right. Like, I just interviewed an author and she said the magic for her, the magic of writing is in the rewriting. And it's just nice to hear that. It's an important reminder that, like, if it doesn't feel like it's coming together right away, it 100% will, because there are people in your corner who are going to help you make it as good as possible.
Yeah. I also feel like people always ask me, you know, separate to writing a book, but like, how did you get started? And like, how do you build a business? And I know everyone says this, but like, you just have to start, because like I said, when we started, I think before you hit record, like, I'm so embarrassed that you watched those videos in 2020. Like, I'm like really embarrassed because, I can't watch them. And I've grown so much as a designer and a business owner, and like my team has grown, and the makeovers are just like 10 million times what they were in 2020. But in order to be where I am now, I had to have done all of that work to learn and understand like what I needed to add in my
Mhm.
process and my team. And it's like all trial and error, right?
100%.
And I think it's the same for writing. The difference is
Mm.
with writing is you do have a deadline.
Mhm.
You do have like a publishing date. And so you have to work within those kind of confines. But
Mhm.
I think it's like that idea of, okay, I just got to get everything down on a
Mhm.
Word document for 10 days. I literally did not move from my chair. We were in Costa Rica, actually. Beautiful place to be.
Mm.
And I got food poisoning too.
I
And I
can
was
remember
like,
some stories about this.
yeah, fun times. And I did not move out of that chair. Like I went swimming once during the day. We went out for dinner, got food poisoning, and like just got it all out on the page and kind of took that pressure off of myself to be like, just get it done. Like
Mhm.
just do something and then
Mm.
you have something to work with. Because if
Mhm.
you don't start, then you have nothing to like mold and
Totally.
build.
It's interesting you say that. And I think a lot about this kind of creative nonfiction, it being different than like historical nonfiction where, you know, the facts of the past are what they are, and our how we feel about them might change, but what happened happened. And of course, there was a challenge in making sure you get the facts right. But with something like this, writing a book within an industry such as design, where like change is happening all of the time in design, was there a worry, or did you concern yourself with giving yourself space to grow and evolve beyond how you happened to feel in 2023 when the book came out?
That's such a good question. I don't think I really thought about it in the moment because I was approaching it as like, this is what I know now.
Yes.
And this is what I've learned. And I think, again, framing it as like, I'm going to mimic my design process in the
Mm-hmm.
format of this book. It was kind of just telling people, like, this is how I do my
Yeah.
makeovers now. If I open the book today, I'm sure, which I don't really do that often, but there is part of me that's like, ooh, like the photos could have been so much more beautiful. Not to do anything to do with the photographer who I'm such a fan of and admire deeply, but in terms of like my designs.
Mm-hmm.
And like, if I could do a book now, would it be even better? Probably. But I don't know if the content would change that
totally.
much because it really is the process I still use today.
Yeah.
And like the rules and the things I
Mm-hmm.
talk about are things that
You
I
stand by.
Exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I also think that's kind of like, that is the fun of these books too, is that like, I think it's just as exciting to get a design book that came out today as it is to like page through a Martha Stewart book from the 90s, because
Totally.
it acts as like a timestamp as well
Mhm.
as teaching us like what's old is new again. And like it's an inevitable thing about these kinds of books. It's like, yeah, like maybe in 15 years, like we won't be doing that anymore, but we did it 15 years ago and look how much fun we had with it. It's kind of like same with
Totally.
like cookbooks. It's like, I'm not going to eat any of the Jell-O they made in the 70s, but I love looking at them and I love that we did that.
Yeah, and you might like take some inspiration from those books still.
Yeah,
Like whether
that's what
it's
I'm
like the
saying.
bowl they
Yes.
put the jello in or the
Yes.
place settings or whatever. And I think I hope that I think that like the text in the book and the
Evergreen.
ideas will kind of are kind of timeless in a
Mm-hmm.
sense. Like personally, I don't think we're ever going to hang curtains up here instead of kissing the floor. Maybe I'm totally wrong. But like I just feel like those tips are things that will last forever.
As
Will
they
the
should.
photos line up to those ideas? Maybe not. But like you could say that
About literally everything.
Exactly.
Yes.
And like never publish a book.
Yeah.
And I
yes.
think you're kind of getting at this like this thing that I've learned over time, which is you have to do it and you
Mm-hmm.
kind of have to be like blinders on. I don't care what anyone thinks or says, like I'm just going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's going to be so many naysayers. There's going to be like
Mm-hmm.
so many things that change, like there's like a million reasons why you shouldn't do
to
something.
not do it. Totally. Yes.
Yeah. But just persevering and like doing something you love will always pay off.
Yeah. And I've never really understood I've never understood giving a shit about that sort of thing. Like this is going to age me. I'm such a millennial, but like, I remember on BuzzFeed back in the day when BuzzFeed was a thing. Sorry to BuzzFeed, but
we love BuzzFeed.
We love BuzzFeed. Like in its heyday, I should say. There were two people who were watching Titanic for the first time, and they kept commenting on how bad the graphics were. And I was like, oh, like, yeah, you're watching this in 2015. It was made in 1997. Like, the point isn't for the technology to have like withstood the test of time. It was huge in 1997, and that's like part of the fun of watching it now. Yeah. So I've never understood like getting hung up on that.
We were just talking about this yesterday at work with Twilight.
Oh.
And how I was like, I remember watching that movie when I was 18 in high school and like living for it.
100%.
And then watched it maybe 5 years later and was like gobsmacked. And I was like, how was I not laughing at this? And someone at work was like, yeah, but then you watch it now and you're like living for the nostalgia of it and like the kind of the parody like feel it gives. And so like things just like constantly come back around.
Yes.
It's like all a cycle.
Yes.
And I think you can just get caught up in like not entering that cycle out of fear, but I just don't. I try to not live my life when it comes to my career in that way.
Wow. Okay, we've talked about this a little bit. You've already answered some of this, but I still want to talk about it. And having watched your content for years, as I keep saying, I do happen to know I have witnessed that you are quite a reader. I was wondering, like, who are some of your favorite authors? What are some of your favorite books?
I feel like I feel like we need to have a separate chat about this because you just threw out two authors, and I'm like, can we have a phone call about this and you can give me all the recommendations? So oh my gosh, I'm like, where do I even start?
Yeah. Okay, I'll start.
Okay, yeah, start, please.
My favorite author of all time is Lauren Groff, and she wrote a book called Fates and Furies that like changed how I view fiction and writing books. And we read her for book club like in 2018, and I was like, so I had started writing a story, and my husband was like, I asked him to read it. He was like, this reads a lot like this feels really similar to our book club book. And I was like, great, let me read it. And I read the first paragraph. I was like, there's no way this reminds you of the book club book. This is like some of the best writing I've ever read. And I finished it and I emailed her and I was just like, hi, you're very famous. You're never going to email me back. It's fine. But I have to let you know, like, your book has changed my, like, how I feel about writing. It's meant so much to me. And she wrote me back like in 2 hours and wrote me like the most thoughtful writing advice. And that experience also is like a big reason why she's my favorite author, but I just am so obsessed.
What was it about the writing and the book that like changed things for you?
So Fates and Furies, I don't know how to describe it other than that it's like a relationship odyssey. Like it's this like couple's entire relationship from their births to their deaths, and it is such stunning writing. Like the reading I like to do and the writing I hope to achieve is like sentence level writing, and her turns of phrases are stuck in my brain, and she's unafraid to put emotion on the page, and I just was like really compelled by the way she like kept me engaged in just this like intimate story that felt so epic.
I love that. I really love books that are like so deeply character driven.
Same.
I don't know if you know the Canadian author Miriam Taves.
Oh, Women Talking. Are you kidding?
Yes. Yes. So I did a minor in creative writing, and she was the like resident author for like a month at my school. So I've met her, and the Flying Troutmans is about this family, and you just connect like so deep, or I connected so deeply with the characters. And like, you know, it's like you're reading it and you're like, I understand how this person is feeling in this moment.
Yes.
And the writing is so descriptive, and even though you can't relate to anything they're going through, you're like, you still feel it deeply. And it was one of the only books that's made me like laugh out loud and cry. And same as The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls, like that book, I was sobbing.
Wow, we're very in sync here.
Okay, love it. But then I also like love a good romance novel.
Totally.
Like I love Emily Henry.
She lives in my old the neighborhood I grew up in.
Okay, we love.
So random, yeah.
And I find like reading for me is I love the escape of it. And so I love like I love a good romance book. But to me, like the writing that really sticks with me, and like I would love your recommendations because I'm actually kind of in like a reading rut right now. Is books that really like move me without being too dark. Like I still want to feel that levity and escapism. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I kind of do stay away from books that are like very heavy just because I when I read, I think I feel like quite deeply.
Yeah, sure.
You know, so
this is gonna be such a deep cut for me and embarrassing for me, but I am having a memory, and I could be wrong, of one of the times you had you added your built-ins in your bedroom in the treehouse. Oh my gosh. And I think
I love this.
I think I remember on that bookshelf was a copy of Judy Blume's In the Unlikely Event.
Yes. No. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because it came. Did it come?
Probably. Oh, well, now I don't know. It would have been quite a bit before that, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Love Judy Blume.
I'm obsessed with Judy Blume, and people like need to read her adult fiction because they forget about it. And in her children's stuff is so good, but in the Unlikely Event is so good. Summer Sisters. I don't know if you've read Summer Sisters.
So good.
So good.
Also, I really love young like YA fiction, and Sarah. Did you know the author Sarah Dessen?
Oh yes.
She is. I'm actually rereading one of her books that I was obsessed with as a teenager.
Yeah, totally.
It's called This Lullaby, and it's like so good. And I think people sometimes skip out on YA writing, and I'm like, guys, go to the YA section.
I agree with you completely.
I feel like it's some of the best writing, and like some of the best books I read were as a teenager. I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, when I was a teenager, I feel like the books that I read were just so good.
They stayed with me like intensely. I agree with you completely. The author I just interviewed I referenced earlier, she's a middle grade author, and in the magazine we have a like all ages column that is one of my columns, and that's one of my loves about it is that it allows me the space to like read for all ages, because I think YA is so good. I think middle grade is so good, and I like that it connects me with like what kids are experiencing or going through now. So you've already kind of said this. Well, you said you wrote a book in high school. Do you have that ambition to write fiction? Or are you like actively trying?
Am I actively trying? I do have a document on my desktop called Book. It does have like 2 paragraphs.
Oh, that's something
on it.
And I do think like thinking about a book, an idea is part of the process.
Yeah. I would love to write like a romance or like, but not
like a contemporary.
I'd love to tell this. Yeah. Like I'd love to tell the story about a relationship. And, I have this vision of me one day, like retiring from YouTube and living this slow life and writing novels. Like so we'll see. Who knows?
Yeah. Since I've been watching for a while, I'm wondering, do you have a favorite way you've incorporated someone's home library into their design?
Ooh, great question. I did a makeover a few years ago for a journalist friend of mine who I worked at the magazine with, and we filled her office with these shelves like in an L shape, and we did like floor to ceiling bookshelves with IKEA floating shelves. And I think about that makeover often because she just sits in this room like engulfed by her books. And is
there like a chair in the corner in that design?
Yeah.
Loved that one.
You've really watched them all.
Okay, but the thing is too, I love that one. One of my favorites that you've done is when you redid the Studio Fix and you made like that canopy sort of room with
for my friend Katie. She's also a journalist. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought maybe that's where you were going to go, and I was like, spidey senses. But as we wrap up, I'm just wondering, do you have any advice for someone who is looking to write a book about what they do?
Yeah, great question. I think that initial proposal, like I will forever scream that from the rooftops, and taking time to really think about what you know, if that makes sense. Like
Yes.
I had to take a step back and be like, okay, what do I know? I know this process of how to do makeovers. I know this process of how to like plan, execute, and like live in a space. So I think taking a step back, getting others' opinions too, like what would you want to read in this book? If this book was to exist, like what would you be looking for? And again, like spending most of your time writing that proposal, because all the other writing that you do after will be way easier. Like I could not have done the book in 10 days, like the writing aspect of it, if I didn't have that
for sure
proposal. There would have been no way. So yeah, putting a lot of time, thought, and energy into the framework of the book, and then just plugging it in from there, I think would be my biggest piece of advice. And I also think having an agent on your side, if you've never done this before, to walk you through the process, and, you know, they know this through and through. So having like an expert with you along the way.
Yeah, for sure. Alexandra, thank you so much for doing this. If you don't,
oh my gosh, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Oh, I could talk for hours and hours. I almost did. If you don't mind sharing with our listeners where they can find you online.
Yeah, you can find me at Alexandra Gater on most social media platforms. And my last name is spelled with an E, not an O. And Alexandra Gater on YouTube.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks for listening to Writer's Digest Presents. Visit us online at writersdigest.com and make sure to follow us on social media at Writer's Digest for daily updates on articles, online courses, live events, and more. See you next time.